Welcome to Working with Blends in Adobe Illustrator Part 2. In this tutorial, we'll explore some creative ways to create very complex illustrations in just a few minutes using the blend tools. We'll also look at creating some very cool three-dimensional looking wireframe graphics. Let's get started. We can also create blends using symbols. So I'm going to look at my library of symbols here. I'm going down to this called Florid Vector Pack. And from this, I'm going to grab one of these very elaborate, lacy looking things and drag that down into my artboard here. Make it a little bit smaller. And now I'm going to hold the Option key and make a copy of it. So this will be my starting object, and this will be my end object. And I'm going to select both of these and go to Object, Blend, Make. And again, I'm going to have to modify my blending options. I'm going to crank this up to, I'll try about 12 and see how it looks. That probably will work. Maybe I'll go a little bit higher. Alright. Now I'm going to change the curvature on this. I'm going to make it a kind of a curved spline here. Now this is a case where I'm going to go into the outline mode so that I can see what the heck I'm doing and drag this one out. Get a nice arch here to this guy. Go back, Command Y. I get this crazy looking thing. And I'm going to take this entire object and shrink it down a little bit. And now I'm going to use the repeat transformation that we talked about. So I'm going to take my rotation tool here, and I'm going to Option click somewhere down about here and try like a 45. Click Preview. That looks like that will work. I'm going to say OK, but I'm going to make it a copy, and then Command D, and I get this nice elaborate sort of lacy looking thing. Now I can take this whole thing and drag it into the Symbols panel, and now I can create a symbol. And I can get rid of this guy over here. I'm going to drag that symbol out, shrink it down, and actually I want to modify my symbol because I want to have another circle in the middle here. So I'm going to drag another instance out. This gets really cool, but the problem is it does get extremely complicated for the equipment to handle, for the RAM, for the machine to handle, because there's so much detail in here. But I like having this little middle piece in there. I'm going to make this whole thing a symbol now, and then delete this one. Okay, so I'm going to take my more elaborate one out here now and shrink it down. Hold down the Option key and drag it over to the right, and now select both of these and do my blend. I'm just going to leave it with the 3 for right now. But here is a very cool feature. I can take my ellipse tool and create a new path. I'll stroke this just so that you can see it. And now if I select my blended objects and this new path, I can go up to Object, go into my Blend menu here, and Replace Spline. And it puts my symbols all around that circle. Now it's not closing them up because this is a continuous path. It doesn't know where the path begins or ends. So we need to take our Scissor Tool. It's hiding over here underneath the eraser. And what the Scissor Tool does is it will break your path and create 2 new endpoints. So by clicking there, suddenly my circle is complete with my little mandala shapes. And now I can take that, select it, and go into my blend options, go into steps, and increase the number of steps. And there I get something really elaborate. I think I'll make it 8 instead. Nice. And then I'll say OK to that. Now I'm going to take one more instance and drag it here into the center and shrink it down. And now I've got this really beautiful, elaborate illustration. Now to finish it off, I'm going to create a background, and I'm going to apply a gradient. I've just created this white to kind of a red-orange, and I'm going to drag this one below my mandala and then modify the gradient, tighten up the circle, increase the white area. Maybe I'll drag this one over and then add a darker one out here on the end. Starting to get kind of interesting. That's pretty nice. Going into outline mode here so I can select everything easily. And back to preview. And then I can bump it around. And I can change the blending mode of these objects through in my transparency panel. I'm going to change it to multiply, which will make it richer. Particularly if I make my background a little bit smaller so that it overlaps. It's going to look nice and rich where the colors overlap. Maybe that middle should be kind of a yellow. That's nice. You can also duplicate your object to increase the intensity. So there, we've created a very elaborate, very detailed illustration in just a few minutes. But I think my favorite use of the blend tool is to blend from one path to another. Let me show you something. I'm going to take my pen tool and I'm going to use a stroke but no fill, and I'll just start out with black so it'll be more dramatic. Just going to create a couple of curved lines. Hold down the Command key to deselect, create another one. Then another. And now I am going to select. I could select these and go up to the blend. But I'm going to show you another way here in just a second. I'm going to go to steps and I'll crank this up to like 45 and let's see what happens. Pretty cool. Really cool. Because see, these are live. That's the thing about blends that are so cool. They're live, meaning we can change them at any time and get some amazing results. I'm going to use a little bit of a different technique for creating our blend this time. And I'm going to use colored strokes. This effect is a little more dramatic if you get very close in some points and then farther away in other points. Down here under the eyedropper we have the blending tool. And I can take the blending tool and just click on the path and then click on the next path and then click on the next one, and I get this amazing result here. Now I can go up here to my options, go into steps and reduce the number of steps. It's up to 254 now. But I could take that down to say, let's try 95 and see what it looks like. It's kind of cool now. I like seeing the sort of moire pattern that we get. It gives me more of that wireframe feel. And I can come in here now and drag these points around and get some very, very cool looking effects. Particularly when they cross over each other, it gets very interesting. So you can have all kinds of fun with this. And I have used these kinds of images in all sorts of designs, websites and print design and all kinds of things.